Well, hello there, challengers. It's Ingrid here again from Take 52 Challenge and Beginners Photography blog. And I'm playing catch up here a little bit because I was out for a week when I was ill, and then I was on vacation, and then all of a sudden I'm way behind. So I had selected the images that I wanted to critique, but I hadn't got around to doing them. So you're going to hear a whole bunch of different critiques all in one succession here. So first up, we are looking at week 20, and the prompt for week 20 was random. So random was the post, or was the prompt, and I decided to critique this image from Beth Pack, and she had given it as a random image taken on a Sunday morning, a random Sunday morning of her son and grandson. And I really, really love this image because it is a random moment. And if you went into any coffee shop named Starbucks or otherwise, all across the world, in fact, you'll see a similar scenario taking place, right? But this is a really telling picture of our time, and it is something that I think she looked back on in years to come, and her grandson will look back on in years to come. And I think it's just really, really interesting. So let's take a look at, first of all, Beth has used black and white here to great effect, because if it wasn't black and white, it would be quite busy. There is a lot going on. The windows, there's a lot of light coming in through those windows. There's a lot of angles with the windows. So it's really busy. But yet the photo does not have a busy feel to it, and that's achieved by the black and white, I feel. If she had left it in colour, maybe there might have been too much going on and her eye might have been moved around the frame a little bit too much. So we can see that there is no doubt that our subject is this little guy over here and her son over here. And so he's reading the newspaper and he's drinking his coffee, which is some sort of, or iced beverage or something in a cup with a straw. And the little guy is totally mimicking him, but in his own way of, I guess he's like about 3 or 4. So not reading a newspaper, but he's looking at his iPad. He's not drinking his coffee, but he's got his juice box with a straw. He's totally engrossed in what he's doing, as is Daddy, but they're definitely here together. And I just think it's wonderful. I think it's such a telling image of our time. And it's really, really well captured. There is this guy in the background, and he is a little distracting, and so maybe it might have been nicer if it was a little bit more blurred in the background. Maybe if you have stopped down a little bit, which would have just let a little bit more light in, and your aperture would have would have increased a little bit, and so we would have had a little less depth of field going on, and that might have improved it. But I do like that he's there, because otherwise it might look a little posed. And he actually kind of mirrors what's going on as well. So he's engrossed in his, I think he's actually on an iPad or a computer too. So, it's just interesting. And I just really find myself looking at this picture for a long time. And, this is it's really interesting because, I grew up in a photography shop, and, for years we did old photos and restored and copied and enlarged and stuff for people. And so what was really interesting about those photos that were something like this, so this kind of reminds me of this sort of thing. So you might have 2 people, but they're not necessarily posed, and they're doing something. And so what we would spend our days doing is not just looking at the image, but we would be looking at the background and like, oh my goodness, what's that going on over here? Oh, this was a coffee shop called Starbucks. I wonder whatever happened to them. And what is this here? And where is that there? And what is that store in the background? Is that still there? And all this sort of stuff. So that we would do this with old photos that were taken in our town. And I feel like, in 30 years time or 40 years time, these your little grandkid here and your son will be doing the same sort of thing. I think it's just really, really interesting. And of course we could like zoom in and see what he's reading, and so that really dates it, and it's just really, really fun. There's very little that I would do to change this. Like I say, if this guy hadn't been here, you know, maybe it's, I think he's better to be there, but maybe just, you know, changing that aperture so he would have blurred out a little bit, and maybe it would have brought our focus a little bit more dramatically towards our two people here in the front of the frame. And this is a little distracting here. I think maybe it is just the side of a chair, but you know, when these coffee shops aren't so big, so you're working with a confined space, so I get that. I might have also cropped it to exclude the exit sign, only because your eye tends to draw up to that, as it's a word and stuff, something that's familiar to us. But otherwise, I think it's a really lovely shot. It's a good example of random. It's a great example of having your camera with you at all times to be able to take a shot like this that I really think will become a real keeper. So thank you, Beth. Thank you for contributing and allowing us to critique your image. If you would like to take part in the Take 52 challenge and you're not already on our Facebook group or getting the weekly emails, please sign up at the link below, and it's not too late. You can jump in, and I guarantee you we're a friendly bunch. So until the next critique, which is coming up shortly, I will see you soon.